I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, Naomi Baum. Naomi Baum is a PhD. She's a psychologist who consults both in Israel and internationally in the field of trauma and resilience. And she has a private practice where she sees clients both in person and via Zoom. She created the Building Resilience Intervention, BRI. This is an evidence-based resilience model that has been applied widely in Israel and abroad. And she's the author of professional articles on resilience, building, and trauma, as well as several books, including her newest book, which this is a very exciting one, Israel Resilience, What Israelis Can Teach the World. It was published by Geffen, and she's written about books about cancer, as well as grief and bereavement, and has published a resilience workbook for children. All of her books that I'm mentioning are available on Amazon. She happens to be a student and instructor of Qigong, a meditative form of movement based on the principles of Chinese medicine. She lives with her husband in Israel, is a mother of 7 and a grandmother of 22. And so without further ado, I'm excited to introduce Naomi Baum, who will be speaking to us about finding resilience in Tehillim. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. It's really my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And it's really an incredible panel to be a part of. I feel honored. I often speak where psychologists speak. I don't often speak where Rebbitzins and Rabbaniyot and Talmidot Chachamot speak. So for me, it's really an honor. And I wanted to share today mostly my personal story. And to talk about something that I do know about, and that is resilience. So what is resilience? I wrote a book called Is Resilience, What Israelis Can Teach the World. It was published last year by Geffen. And in this book, there are 14 stories, 14 chapters about incredible people who face very challenging situations, very often life-threatening. We interviewed each one of these people, learned about how they overcame their difficulties and went on to live incredibly rich and meaningful lives. And then after listening and recording these stories, what we did is we analyzed them using and really basing the analysis on my years of working in the field of resilience and resilience building. We decided to focus on 3 keys to resilience. Why 3? We took a page out of the Talmud. I'm a big Talmud fan. I have learned Daf Yomi for many years and continue to learn Daf Yomi. And in the Talmud, it talks about how God gave basically the key to life, to everything, to human beings, all except for 3 keys. And so that number 3 kind of resonated with us. And we decided to call these three keys to resilience. They're not the only keys, but they're very major keys. And what are they? So the first one is flexibility. The second one we called empathy. And the third is meaning. And let me just describe briefly what I mean by each of these 3 keys. We don't really have a lot of time, but flexibility means the ability to move in and out, to touch a wide variety of feelings, to touch pain and move back from the pain, to open your heart to the sadness in your heart, and then let it go and leave it for a while. That moving in and out is the flexibility that we're talking about. And also, if one road is blocked, figuring out what else can we do? What's the next road? What else can we try? What are our options? Not being stuck in moving exactly the way we think it needs to go. When we talk about empathy, really we talk about listening to ourselves and listening to other people. Usually empathy means stepping into other people's shoes. But first and foremost, we have to be able to listen to ourselves and listen to our feelings. And the final thing is meaning, finding meaning in our lives. So I wanted to share with you my story and how Tehillim actually gave me all 3 of these keys as I healed from cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer over 10 years ago. And at the time, I was learning Daf Yomi. It was a very difficult masechet, and I was a vegetarian, and it was all about animals. It was bechorot. It was really tough. So I decided, okay, I have cancer. I have to make a shift here. What am I going to do? I really like learning every day. I decided that instead of learning daf every day, which was really too much for me at the time, I would start doing one parak of Tehillim every single day. I would read it. I would try to learn it and see what happened. And that is exactly what I did. So I think for me, shifting from the daf to the parak was flexible. That showed, okay, one thing isn't working. Let's move and try something else. Empathy. David HaMelech shares such a wide range of feelings. We just heard Chani Jarab, I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but Chani talk about, she said it exactly right. David HaMelech talks about everything from the heights to the depths. Fear and sadness and anger and tremendous joy and love. He is all over the place, but he's listening to his feelings. He's able to talk about them. He's able to express himself deeply. And for me, he gave voice to my deepest fears, to my anger, to my anguish. And he reminded me that God is in charge, and Yeshuat Hashem keheref ayin, that God can really turn things upside down like that, really instantly, in an instant. And the final key to resilience that certainly played out in my reciting of Tehillim every day, it gave me a goal, it gave me a purpose, it brought a lot of meaning into my life and a lot of support and a lot of comfort. During my treatment, aside from reading a daily parak, I also added parak vav. Parak vav is a special parak, the sixth parak, which people often say if they need a refuah. And it says, one of the psukim in this parak is, Rifa'eni Hashem ki nivhalu atzamai, v'nafshi nivhala me'od. And I'm going to loosely translate that. Heal me, God, because my bones have nivhalu, they have, I'm trying to think how you say that. I'm kind of in, so you've been shocked. Okay, overwhelmed. Thank you for your help, everybody. And my soul has been overwhelmed. And when anybody, I'm sure there are people in the audience, unfortunately, who've also experienced cancer, I am sure that this experience is something that resonates. This was the pasuk that resonated with me. How did David HaMelech know that this is how I was feeling? So anyways, that was the parak I said every day. And it gave me a lot of koach. It gave me a lot of strength. And then, interestingly enough, when I finished all my treatments, guess which parak I was on? Parak number 150. So there we were. When I completed my treatment, I returned to Daf Yomi, but continued with one parak every day. And what is that parak? Every day, I say Mizmor Shir Chanukat Habayit LeDavid, parak Lamed, and it just speaks to my heart. We say, Hashem Elokai, Shivati Elecha Vatirpaeni. God, I turned to you and you healed me. Hashem He'elita Min She'ol Nafshi. You brought me up from the abyss every single day. And we end, the question is, as I was preparing for this talk, I started looking into the parak and kind of learning a little bit more about it. Mizmor Shir Chanukat Habayit LeDavid. This was recited at the dedication of the Beit HaMikdash. How is it connected to the words that follow? And one answer given, that at a time when all is going really well, we have built a new house, the Beit HaMikdash, we have harvested our fields, we have healed from illness. It's so easy to get caught up in the sense of kochi va'otzem yadi asali et hachayil hazeh. It's me. I'm terrific. I'm wonderful. It's because of me. But where's God? And thus turning to God at this time and turning every single day to remember to say, Aromimcha Hashem ki dilitani. God, you picked me up. You pulled me out of the hole, out of the illness. You brought me to where I am today. And I am grateful, so grateful. When things go back to more or less normal, it is so easy to forget and slip back into old ways and patterns. Tehillim reminds me of where I was, what I have to be grateful for. So thank you, Orly, for giving me the opportunity to share that. Anybody who's interested in my book, there is a raffle at the end. One person will get it, but the rest of you can buy it. And thank you for all your wonderful comments.
Wow. Thank you so much, Naomi. It's such a pleasure to connect with you. As you know, I love your daughter. That's how we got connected. So I feel very lucky to have you on, and I'm looking forward to continuing to stay in touch. And don't forget, like she said, her book is going to be raffled off at the end. I really appreciate those words of strength. I know from the heads, bobbing, and from the comments that so many people connected with your message on many, many, many levels.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with your heart.